off the hook. They never could get my used to putting it in, you know?
Yeah,
Always had to
pickerel.
wrap the towel around it, and I just, I guess I'm I don't know what you call that kind of fisherman, but you know.
A gentleman fisherman, that's what
Maybe.
you are.
Boy,
Thank
that's
you.
kind. That's kind.
There you go. Yeah, Peter, I'm a largemouth bass fisherman also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Or
tell
I
you,
was.
my a close friend of mine is the health officer for Mount Olive. He's my age. He has a bass tracker boat, and we used to go out every couple of weeks on Opakong or wherever. And he hasn't been out in over a year because of the pandemic, and I can't say that I've had a lot of time, but I really look forward to getting back to that. It's just good to be on a boat no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, I may do definitely that. See, I grew up in Long Island, so I'm a surf caster. That's what I used to do with I still
That's
have
fun.
my surf cast rod and reel, and it's, you know, it's a bigger size because you never know what you're going to catch in the ocean. So
You guys know that they sell fish like at the store. You could save yourself the whole day.
oh, that's what I do. You know,
I'm a catch and release. I'm a catch and release person, but the sport of it, the
Catch and
fun of it.
release.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
I
absolutely.
haven't caught tilapia yet or brun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm gonna go fishing for fish cakes.
Yeah, crab cakes, right?
I tell you what, we today for the first time I put in that koi pond last year and the thing froze over and everything. The fish were there today, man. They were.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Really, you don't get the raccoons and bears coming after them?
No, they said bears. They said actually the issue around here is the herons.
Makes sense.
Um,
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, small. Yeah.
No, we got 3 koi and I got one. My son, he didn't want a koi. He wanted a feeder goldfish. This thing's like a monster now.
Nice.
Yeah, they get pretty big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They live
They're
there.
a carp. Yeah, they're a carp.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I heard you can kayak on our ponds now. So I heard that somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, there was a rumor. Yeah, that you can kayak on Egbert's now.
Go figure.
Amazing.
Yeah. Mount Hope too.
Wow.
Go figure. Yeah.
Only if you have cannons mounted.
Yeah.
My luck, I'll lean the wrong way.
Evening, everybody.
Evening.
Oh, good evening. Yes, Mike.
Funny, it feels like I just saw you, Lisa.
You did just see me, Pete.
Adam, are you going to put together a council field trip to go fishing?
I think it's time, right? I think everybody's got to pick a buddy. Yep, get some bobbers and worms. Yep.
Why not? And you know one thing, we can't all be in one boat, otherwise it's a quorum.
Yeah, I wonder if,
Then you're all giving me more work to do.
I'll get a kayak.
We wouldn't do that.
It all depends what you talk about.
got to find out if see if the ladies auxiliary is doing the breakfast this year for opening day up at Company One. No, they couldn't do it last year, so hopefully see if they can pull it off this year again. That's always a good time.
Nice.
Hey, I'm in for breakfast.
Yeah, oh no, it's great. It's tradition, goes back as far as I can remember, probably longer than I'm alive. Yep, breakfast at the firehouse, opening day. It's the best.
Yep.
Two minutes and counting.
The recording and the live stream are both active.
Thank you for the warning.
Thank you. Thank you. Like they say in the old country, shay shay. Good evening, Mr. Jackson.
Good evening. How are you, Mr. Friedland?
I'm hanging in there.
Joe, I appreciate you and Jonathan letting Pete go in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Jonathan didn't want
Mayor,
to.
probably not as much as Peter appreciates it.
Jonathan didn't want to, but I overruled him.
Yeah.
I knew that about my birthday, pal.
Oh, God.
Change my view
This is
here.
what it's all about. A little sense of humor.
Has anyone been in communication with Mr. Quinn? It seems like he's having connection issues again.
No, it's just on.
He was there before.
Yeah, no
What was
messages.
I
happening
keep
last
getting
week,
the
too?
warning signal, like low bandwidth, or it's the warning
That's-
when your internet connection isn't working out too well.
Yeah, that's what happened last week with him, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chrissy, I had
a little bit of trouble
too.
getting on, believe it or not, myself.
Hey, I can help you.
Right.
The resident expert.
Manny, you and I are the two most unlikely people to help anybody.
You got that right.
All right, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes.
Hey, John, I have trouble with my Rolodex.
There. All right,
Chrissy, we're recording it live, correct?
Yes.
All right, it's 6:31. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd now like to take a moment of silence to remember the services and sacrifices of the armed service members who protect our nation, the first responders who protect our neighborhoods. Unfortunately, since our last meeting, we've had several losses in our community. Patty Conlon passed away. Patty's the wife of Bob Conlon, a longtime volunteer for the township. She had a long battle, and she leaves behind her children, her grandchildren, and her husband, Bob. John Watasic, former mayor, Rockaway Township, deputy Morris County deputy clerk in the county. He passed away, left his wife Betty, and Dana Ray Scafati, who was crossing guard at Birchwood. If you lived in the Birchwood area like I do, you might not know Dana Ray, but you know the crossing guard. She was always there with a smile, waving and saying good morning to everybody. And she leaves behind her children and her husband. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Clerk, you could take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Quinn.
here.
Councilmember Friedlander.
Here.
Councilmember Kritz.
Here.
Councilmember Salberg.
Here.
Councilmember Brooks.
Here.
Councilmember Noon.
Here.
Vice President Sackett.
Here.
President Jackson.
Here, we have a quorum. Please be advised that all electronic remote meetings of the Township Council held on WebEx are recorded. All members of the public will be provided the opportunity to speak during any public hearing or open to the public sections of the meeting. The Township Clerk will unmute each member of the public and ask if they wish to speak. As per Rockaway Township Code 2-5.14, any person desiring to address the council shall first seek recognition by the presiding officer and upon recognition by the chair, the person shall give their name and address for the record. Unless further time is granted by the council, they shall limit their statement to 5 minutes. Statements shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. A councilman shall not direct any question to a speaker addressing the council except through the presiding officer. In addition to speaking on the record during council meetings, members of the public may submit questions and comments to the council by emailing questions@rockawaytownship.org by the end of the open to the public session. This meeting was advertised in the Daily Record on January 9th, 2021, and the Star Ledger on January 11th, 2021, the official newspapers for the Township of Rockaway on January 9th, 2021. Notice was posted on the official bulletin boards of Rockaway Township. At this point, we're going to let our health officer, Peter Tabbitt, make a statement and read a proclamation. So go ahead, Peter. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Council President. I would like to thank Council President Jackson and Council Vice President Sackett for the opportunity to speak this evening. And I'd also like to thank Mayor Puzio for his continuous support of the Division of Health, especially as we continue to make our way through this challenging global pandemic. We've all heard the expression, it takes a village, it takes a team, and I'm grateful for everybody's cooperative efforts. It's often a struggle when public health professionals try to communicate resonating messages about the important work that we do. And that can sometimes result in a lack of understanding, legislative support, or funding. Before reading the National Public Health Week proclamation, I would just like to share a few insights into the work of public health during the pandemic and beyond, in an effort to recognize and elevate those whom I'm lucky to call my coworkers and employees. There's an aphorism in public health recognizing the fact that if public health is working, it's virtually invisible. It's almost a bit of a magic trick. If we're doing our job, you seldom know that we're there. It's often only during a crisis, for example, an outbreak or the intrusion of an exotic disease or an environmental disaster, or in this case, a global pandemic, that one would more visibly see the work of public health. 2 weeks ago, the governor declared March 9th COVID-19 Heroes Day. This, of course, is a wonderful thing, and all the essential employees who were noted in the proclamation, like those who assure our groceries, our transportation, our elder care, and our health services, are very deserving of recognition and gratitude. Incomprehensibly, public health is not mentioned once in the proclamation, despite the fact we know the governor strongly supports and advocates for public health. And after 30 years of working in this field and advocating for public health issues in many venues myself, one thing is clear to me. Public health is exceedingly difficult to see or market, yet it's absolutely essential to the well-being of our communities and environment. Public health practitioners work silently behind the scenes, seeking to make small but meaningful differences on a daily basis. Those who perform the work of public health don't wear badges, don't have uniforms, sirens, or other personal effects that make them instantly recognizable. But quietly and without fanfare, our nurses limit the spread of infectious diseases and monitor for chronic illnesses and educate members of the public. Our environmental health specialists protect air, water, soil, and food from contamination. Our animal control officers and our clerks license several thousand pets in Rockaway Township and help prevent rabies and zoonotic diseases. Never has the recognition of this work been more important than right at this moment, as we remain confronted with the deadly effects of COVID-19 and the pandemic. For a year now, the Division of Health staff have been working day and night, seeking to minimize disease not only in Rockaway Township, but also in the 4 other municipalities that we provide with public health services. So I wish to acknowledge the tireless work of these employees, particularly our public health nurses, who have given so much of their personal time and energy to protect our residents, protect our business community, and municipal workers over the course of the pandemic. To provide just a tiny bit of perspective, our nurses have interviewed and investigated 5,600 cases of COVID-19 in our 5-town jurisdiction. And for each of those cases, there have been several close contacts who must be called with guidance just to ensure that the spread of COVID-19 is controlled. The division has disseminated and enforced dozens of executive orders and executive directives advising our residential and business communities of the many protocols related to COVID-19. And we've worked very diligently with our schools and our daycare centers to help prevent outbreaks among our community's children and educators. These are but a few examples of the many, many tasks our public health professionals have performed to the best of their ability, often under tremendous duress and at all hours. I would proffer that this hard work has helped prevent several thousand additional cases of COVID-19 in Rockaway Township alone, and the 4 other municipalities we serve. I simply can't acknowledge my staff enough for their superlative work over the course of this pandemic and beyond. So I wish to thank the governing body for this opportunity to speak. I wish to thank the mayor for kindly and publicly recognizing the work of the Division of Health, especially during the last 12 months. And I would also be remiss if I did not take this opportunity to thank our township's partners and stakeholders, particularly Chief Martin McParland, Captain Robert Scher, the Department of Administration, and our first responders, all of whom have been key collaborators as we seek to mitigate the regional effects of the pandemic. And now I would like to read the proclamation for National Public Health Week, which does occur April 5th to 11th. Whereas the week of April 5th to 11th, 2021 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Building Bridges to Better Health. And whereas since 1995, public health professionals have honored National Public Health Week by educating the public and policymakers about issues important to improving the public's health. And whereas there is a significant difference in health status, such as obesity, poor mental health, and drug use among people living in rural areas compared with people living in urban areas. And the variance increases because rural residents are often more likely to face social determinants that negatively impact health, such as poverty, transportation barriers, and lack of economic opportunity. And whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks such as the COVID-19 pandemic, measles, and natural disasters. And whereas public health action together with scientific and technological advances has played a major role in reducing and in some cases eliminating the spread of infectious disease and in establishing today's disease surveillance and control systems. And whereas 6 in 10 US adults have a chronic disease and 4 in 10 have 2 or more chronic diseases, and health risks such as obesity, tobacco use, and alcoholism are the primary reason for 7 out of every 10 deaths annually in the United States. Now, therefore, I, Michael Puzio, Mayor of Rockaway Township, do hereby proclaim the week of April 5th to 11th, 2021 is National Public Health Week in the Township of Rockaway, and call upon all residents to observe this week by helping our families, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and leaders to better understand the value of public health, and by supporting opportunities to adopt preventive lifestyle habits in light of this year's theme, Building Bridges to Better Health. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 23rd day of March in the year of our Lord 2021, and of independence of the United States of America, the 246th, signed by Mayor Michael Puzio, March 23rd, 2021. And Council President, if I may, just for a quick second, just mention one more thing for the public and for the members of the governing body. As of today, we do have over 2,200 cases of COVID-19 in Rockaway Township. In just the last 6 days, we've had 131 new cases, which competes with the busiest week of COVID activity since the advent of the pandemic. So I just wish to encourage everyone in Rockaway Township to please continue to wear face cover, continue to distance yourselves, and follow the guidelines that have been provided by the federal and state government. To continue seeking a vaccine, it may take a little patience because obviously the demand outweighs the supply. But the good news is that the Rockaway Township located county and state megacenter is up to 3,700 vaccines a day, which is literally more than twice it was just a few weeks ago. So while we're not out of this by a long shot, if we want to be, as long as everybody keeps becoming vaccinated and taking these measures, I think we're well on our way there. So again, thank you, Council President, for the opportunity to share some words with you all.
Thanks, Mr. Tabbitt. And I think this council supports you and your department, all the hard work they've all done and you all done through this time and continue to do. We appreciate all your efforts. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Real quick before we approve the minutes, we've had some discussions around the minutes and what the content of the minutes is going to be. The minutes we're going to be voting on reflect the new format we're going to be using going forward. And again, what we're trying to do is ensure transparency, ensure that we're being efficient and effective and running an effective meeting. So for the convenience of the public and ensure maximum transparency, all resolutions and ordinance will be linked to the minutes on the township website. Additionally, we will continue our past practice of separately archiving the minutes, resolutions, ordinances, and hard copy as well as electronically. So everything's out there. We're just going to be a little bit more effective and efficient with the minutes. So with that said, we're on to the F, approval of minutes, March 9th, 2021 regular meeting. Anybody have a motion?
Second.
Yes. Yes.
Did you get that, Chrissy?
Vice President Sackett and
Yep.
Councilmember Kritz,
Chris, yep, that's what I got. You
Thank
take the
you.
roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
No.
Councilmember Quinn, Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson.
Yes. Did you get Mr. Quinn's vote?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yep. That's 8 yeses, 1 no. Minutes are approved. Next, we're going to get into a bunch of ordinances to adopt. As you recall, I believe the mayor in his report talked about these ordinances that we have to reintroduce and that we reintroduced last meeting, and we're re-adopting basically due to some noticing issues that we had to do it over again. So each ordinance, I'll read the ordinance number, and then we're going to have a motion in a second, and then we'll have any public discussion and any council discussion. So we're going to start with ordinance 021-06. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Council President, you need to read the title into the record. I
Okay.
apologize.
Yep. 0-21-06, an ordinance amending chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development, section 54-47 entitled Municipal Housing Liaison of the Code of the Township of Rockaway. I had a motion from Mr. Kelly. Who seconded?
I did.
Okay, Mr. Brooks.
No,
Manny.
Friedlander.
Oh. Sorry.
It's okay.
Doug raised his hand. Clerk, you can go through for the public.
Al Sarula,
No comment.
G. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet, Lisa Salberg,
No comment, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment.
Patrick Egan,
No comment, thank you.
Ron Cleland,
No comment.
That's everybody, right?
yes.
Okay, any council discussion?
I just have one question that could relate to all of them, so I'll just address it on the first one here. With these ordinances that we had to redo over again, obviously it was an error that was a mistake of some sort. Does the timing of these ordinance bring any concern to the order that we have with the settlement within the court?
May I speak, Council President?
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
We were told that it's not going to affect, from our attorney, from Mr. Buzak, that it wasn't going to affect anything in terms of, the settlement agreement or resolving it.
Is that good, Mr. Kelly?
That's all the answer it is. That's all I have.
Okay. Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn, Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next is O-21-07. An ordinance amending Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development, Section 45 entitled Fair Share Housing Requirements of the Code of the Township of Rockaway. Can I have a motion?
Yeah, motion. Second.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Salberg. Public discussion.
Al
No
Cerullo,
comment. No comment.
G. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment, thank you.
Lisa Salberg,
No comment, thank you.
Pat Degnan. I'm sorry, Pat Degnan,
No comment.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
Ron Cleland.
No comment.
Any council discussion?
Real quick, Council President, on this, just something just came to my in light of what's going on, and maybe the clerk can help answer this. We have those that are being called out during of a public portion that are, I guess, attending the virtual meeting. Is there a possibility that members of the public who aren't virtual but yet sending emails or on the phone, is there a way we can confirm that we don't have to identify there, or there is nobody to identify via email on the public portion of these ordinances, as well as on the phone? Just a quick keep of what's going on, that's all.
Council President, would it be okay if Ms. Seeger checked the emails to make sure that there were no emails regarding the ordinances that we're adopting this evening?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Thank you.
Council President, there's nobody who emailed. If there is, I will jump in. Otherwise,
Okay.
there won't be anybody.
Thank you.
And there's nobody
Thank you.
participating by the phone?
Well,
If
that's, you can tell.
anyone, right, if they would be on the attendee list that I'm reading off of, they would just show up as a call-in user.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, clerk, you take the roll call?
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn, Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson.
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next is O-21-08, an ordinance establishing Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development, Section 48 entitled Mandatory Affordable Housing Set Aside of the Code of the Township of Rockaway. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Kelly and Mr. Friedlander. Public discussion.
No
Al
comment.
Cerullo,
No comment.
D. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment.
Lisa Salberg,
No comment, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
and that's it.
Okay, any council discussion? Clerk, you take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses, motion carries. Next is O-21-09, an ordinance establishing Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development, Section 54-30.52 entitled R-B MFO Regional Business Multifamily Overlay District of the Code of the Township of Rockaway. Kind of a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Kelly and Mr. Friedlander.
Al Sarula,
No comment.
G. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment, thank you.
Lisa Salberg,
No comment.
Pat Degnan,
No comment.
Patrick Egan.
No comment.
That's it for the public speakers.
Any council discussion? Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses, motion carries. Next is O-21-10, an ordinance amending Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Rockaway, creating a new section 54-30.53 entitled B-2 MFO Highway Business Multifamily Residential Overlay District. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Kelly,
Second.
Second.
Mr. Kelly and Mr. Quinn.
Al Sarula,
No comment.
G. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment.
Lisa Salberg,
No, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
Any council discussion? Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses, motion carries. Next is O-21-11, an ordinance amending Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Rockaway, creating a new section 54-30.66 entitled RMFO-10 Multifamily Residential Overlay District. Can I have a motion?
So
Motion.
moved.
Mr.
Second.
Kelly and Mr. Quinn.
Al Sarula,
No comment.
D. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment, thank you.
Lisa Salberg,
No, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment, thank you.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
that's it for public speakers.
Any council discussion? Clerk, you could take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Stallberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon, Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next is O-21-12, an ordinance amending Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Rockaway, creating a new section 54-30.67 entitled RMFO-12 Multifamily Residential Overlay District. Can I have a motion?
So
Motion.
moved.
Mr. Kelly and
Second.
Mr. Quinn.
Al Cerullo,
No comment.
Dee Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment. Thank you.
Lisa Salberg,
No, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
Ron Cleland,
No comment.
that's it.
Okay, you got call-in user too, right?
No, did they just hop on?
Yeah, I think they did, yeah.
Call-in user 2,
Okay. Any council discussion? Clerk, you could take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next is O-21-13, an ordinance amending Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development of the Code of Township of Rockaway, creating a new section 54-30.68 entitled RMFO-12A Multifamily Residential Overlay District. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
Mr. Kelly and Mr. Quinn.
Al Cerullo,
No comment.
call-in user 2, Dee Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment.
Lisa Salberg,
No comment, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment, thank you.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
Ron Cleland,
No comment.
that's it.
Okay. Any council discussion? Okay, clerk, you take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next is O-21-14, an ordinance amending Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Rockaway, creating a new section 54-30.69 entitled RMFO-15 Multifamily Residential Overlay District. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
Mr. Kelly and Mr. Quinn.
Al Cerullo,
No comment.
call in user 2, G. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment, thank you.
Lisa Salberg,
No, thank you.
Degnan,
No comment, thank you.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
Cleland.
No comment.
That's it.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next is O-21-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Rockaway, creating a new section 54-30.70 entitled RMFO-15A Multifamily Residential Overlay District. Have a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly and Mr. Quinn.
Al Cerullo,
No comment.
call in user 2, G. Hagberg,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment, thank you.
Lisa Salberg,
No comment, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment, thank you.
Patrick Egan,
No comment.
Ron Cleland.
No comment.
That's it.
Okay, any council discussion? Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon, Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next is open to the public. Before we get to the caller lines, I'll ask Mrs. Seeger first if we've gotten any emails to our email thing.
Not as of yet, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Clipperton.
Al Cerullo,
I have nothing, thank you.
call in user 2, G. Hagberg,
Nothing.
Lily Sweet,
As usual, the road department did a great job during the last snowstorm. Hope they're through with that now. And I wish everybody on the administration, as well as the council and the people attending, a wonderful holiday, Easter holiday. Thank you.
Ms. Sweet, if you could just give me your full name and address for the record, please.
Oh, Lily Sweet, 1 Oakland Avenue, Rockaway.
Thank you.
Write me a letter.
I like that.
Lisa Salberg?
No, I just echo what Lillian said. Happy holidays to everybody, and thanks for the good work all winter.
Pat Degnan?
Pat Degnan, 88 Valley View Drive, Rockaway, New Jersey. I have to say that I hope the rest of the meeting goes as well as the first part of the meeting, because I almost didn't attend this meeting yet. I want to know what's going on in my town. And the constant bickering and innuendos and everything has really made my desire to participate in these meetings to the point where I don't know whether I want to attend or not. But tonight, so far, so good. Thank you very much.
Patrick Egan?
Yes, hi, Patrick Egan, 59 Lenox Road in Rockaway. I just want to remind everybody in town that the Rockaway Township's girls recreation softball is starting to get underway, but there's still time to register. So if there are any young ladies out there, ages preschool through seniors in high school that would like to participate in softball, the signups are still going on. We're looking especially for girls in the grades 2, I believe it's 1 and 2. Our squirts division is a little light, so we're looking to build that up a little bit. But considering what we went through last year with COVID, the registrations are looking good. We started indoor practices with our instructional and our juniors divisions, which is going very well. Girls are excited, but we always welcome more girls to the program. We have a Facebook page. It's Rockaway Township Girls Rec Softball Facebook page. They can find all the information on there. We do have a sign up website, but I honestly, I don't have the link right now, but they could email me at Patrick.Egan, EGAN at Pfizer.com. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or get them registered. So we're looking forward to a really great season. Looking forward to seeing many of the council members and the mayor there at many of these games to cheer the girls on and get through a great season. So that's all I have. And again, thank you to everybody in the town for making everything go smooth. And happy Easter, everybody, and happy holidays. Have a good one.
Thanks, Patrick. You too.
Ron Cleland?
No comment.
William Degnan?
No comment. Just want to wish everybody a happy Easter. Thank you for the council and the administration for working so hard to reduce the noise level from the project behind Valley View Drive. It looks like they're actually starting to construct houses, so thank you very much. William Degnan, 88 Valley View Drive, Rockaway.
Thank you. And that's it.
Yeah. Mrs. Seeger, did we get any emails?
No, Council President.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have R21-55, R21-56, R21-57, R21-58, R21-59, R21-60, and R21-61. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
Council President, I have a motion to remove for discussion and a separate vote.
Sure. Just hold on. Let me just record. That was Mr. Quinn and Mr. Sackett. Go ahead, Mr. Kelly. What's your motion?
Just as some effort here for how we're doing this, when it comes to appointments, I don't think, the term consent would be something that we all consent to. And if there's an appointment where we have individual votes on that. I think appointments should always be on its own separate resolution to read, or during appointments that we have, like we have in the past. So I would say that if we could just discuss R2155, no discussion on R2156, but has it as a separate resolution for a vote. And then D, R2158, excuse me, 58.
So what's your motion, Mr.
discussion.
Kelly? I'm sorry. What's your motion? Can you repeat it?
My motion would be to remove R2155 for discussion and separate vote. Just to remove R2156 for a separate vote because it's an appointment. And then D, to remove for discussion and a separate vote would be R2158.
Anybody want to second that?
Not even a discussion for contracts?
I'm sorry, did somebody second?
I'll second it.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
clerk,
Brooks.
you could take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yeah, yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Oh.
Thank you. President Jackson?
No, so that's 7 yeses, 2 nos, motion carries. So I'll allow 5 minutes of discussion on each item. So Mr. Kelly could start with R21-55.
Could we possibly vote
Yeah.
on the remaining items of the consent
I was
agenda
gonna
first?
say
Sure.
that.
So we're gonna
Thank
vote
you.
on R21-57,
Yeah.
R21-59, R21-60, and R21-61.
Make a motion?
We
All
already
right.
have a motion and a second on those. So clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, so R21-57, R21-59, R21-60, and R21-61 have 9 yeses, they carry. So we'll start with R21-55, Mr. Kelly.
Just one quick order of business with that, with the amending the resolution R20-100 to meet the requirements of the governor's executive order R2222. And the only thing I have on this is that, I had asked this once before when we had the original temporary outdoor dining permit. And there's a permit application that goes there and there's no fee associated with that. But the executive orders that the governor had passed along to us from the start of this pandemic to where we're at right now, one thing was very clear that we could not, as municipalities or any kind of governing service of some sort, make items more restrictive. So with that being said, if we look on part 5 of our temporary outdoor dining permit, it says checklist for zoning permit application. This was part of our meeting packet, by the way. And number 5, it says the following items must be submitted with this application. And A says a survey or plot plan showing location size and number of tables and seating area. But it says here in parentheses, and this is what I'm addressing, it says no tents will be permitted. Now, under our Uniform Construction Code, under Chapter 523, 2.14B, tents are permitted. and there's no permit requirement for a tent to be erected up to a certain size. And then there's a combination of tents that are there. Outdoor dining is really all about, again, outdoor dining, and tents would help assist people with shade, rain, drizzle, maybe even snows again. It has snowed in April before and March. So I think that we should maybe either correct this with no tents will be permitted and leaving it out and then addressing it on the survey or plot plan, or maybe having a question if there's a request for a tent for us to review. If there are tents that are larger, there is a fire subcode that is required for an inspection and that permit. But again, to have it on our permit, no tents, it could mislead applicants. It could deter applicants saying, you know what, I need tents to operate outdoors. What's the sense of filling out this outdoor dining permit? It was a suggestion in 2020, and I'm just reiterating that suggestion moving forward.
Okay.
Anybody have any comments, or maybe the administration to move forward with that?
President, may I speak?
You're recognized, Mr. Mayor.
I would have to check with engineering and a few other departments, because during the pandemic, when we had outdoor dining, there were some areas that had tents erected. And I don't recall exactly, I don't sit there and study the permits and, each permit that comes through town hall, but we did have some tents that were erected. I don't know exactly how big. Some at our Hibernia Diner, I'll use as an example, in the back corner. They had some cover, some shade. So we can take a look at it. I don't know if there's more to what you're asking in the ordinance in terms of legal ease that's being used, but it may not translate into actually what's taking place. So I can take a look at it. If our attorneys, any of them, or anyone, Pat or Allison, wants to chime in, that would be helpful.
Well, I'm just citing you the statute. I wasn't
Can you
saying
hear me?
anything about an ordinance.
Yes, Ms. Ferrante, you're recognized.
Oh, you can hear me. All right, yes, I believe that last time we did have it on our application, and then we took it, and when they came in, we allowed them to have under the fire director, a certain size tent was permitted under the UFC code. So we'll take a look at that application and amend it accordingly if it needs to be, for both timing restrictions under UFC and the size.
So, Mr. Kelly, do you want to table this item for the next meeting?
I don't think, well, I think the resolution is necessary to do the extension because of the timing of that. But this revised date of this permit on the lower corner, left side, it says it was revised on 3/18/2021. I don't think that we have to hold this resolution just for a simple correction on the permit application.
Okay, so do you want to make a motion to vote on it?
No, I would. My thing was just removing that because the code permits it, the Uniform Construction Code. And again, it goes by sizes. Like the barn had a very large size, and it wasn't multiple tents that joined together. It was one big one, which would fall under two, the UCC, as well as the NFPA. So I think Mrs. Ferrante knows exactly what I'm talking about, and it looks like she may address this issue that's there. That's all. So I would make a motion to pass Resolution R2155.
Anybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Mr. Quinn, clerk, you can take the roll call on R21-55.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember New,
Yeah.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson.
Yes, that's 9 yeses. R21-55 carries. Next, 5 minutes discussion on R21-56.
This one again, when there's resolutions to appoint people, I don't think it should be part of the consent agenda in the event that we're all not going to consent, which you've seen in the past has happened that way when it comes to appointments. But on this particular appointment, this individual is now the municipal housing liaison, or has it been vacant until this resolution passes tonight?
Mr. Mayor, do you want to comment on that, or?
I'm gonna have Ms. Ferrante comment on that, or Ms. Seeger.
At the reorg meeting, Aaron, we did, the mayor did appoint Aaron at it, but we had to do an actual resolution for the court. That's why we had to do it again. Is that right, Allison?
Correct.
Right.
Okay, because I knew that we had that discussion on the reorg. We also had it a part of the discussion in our budget meetings, and I was wondering why this is on again. But that's the answer. Thank you.
Would you like to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to appoint Mrs. Murray as the municipal housing liaison for the Township of Rockaway.
Second by Mr. Quinn. Clerk, you take the roll call?
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salzberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. R 21-56 carries. Congratulations, Mr. Murray. Next is R 21-58. Go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
When we were waiting to get into the meeting before it started, I know Mrs. Noon was asking Mr. Freelander some questions about the farmer's market that we had here. And maybe she might have some questions too. I don't know if she wants to go before me, Ms. Noon. Ms. Noon?
No, I'm okay with this one.
No. You're asking questions with Mr. Freelander. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add before I spoke.
No.
How many actual events are taking place? How many scheduled days do we figure in within this year?
Can I speak, Council President?
You're recognized, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, if you look at the attached document, it's unlimited between April 1st, 2021 and March 31st, 2022. So
That would be for each Saturday throughout that period of time, or could it be any day throughout that period of time?
well, the agreement is with the mall in terms of the real estate where the farmers market is set up. It's a private agreement with Rockaway Town Square Mall. So he has decided that he wants to run this on Saturdays because the establishment, Kariba Farms, also does other farmers markets throughout Morris County. And so I assume that it's going to be just on Saturdays with Rockaway Township.
Now, when we have that, Mr. Mayor, when we originally had this creation of these special event permits, I would imagine each event would be each day that it happens. And we were talking about it originally where it was introduced as $50, and then Mr. Sackett made a motion, and I second that to increase it to $100 because of all the admin that goes into that and inspections and stuff like that. So the way I'm looking at it, I have a couple of questions with this. If there's a potential of having 52 events, right? If it's each Saturday throughout the year, that's 52 Saturdays that may take place, or over 50. And if it's $100 per special event, there's a potentiality that we would create $5,200 in fees for that. Now, we have this agreement in front of us, and I'm not understanding why we're actually having an agreement. I mean, we have no investment into this farmer's market. We don't own the property. We're not getting any of the profits or any dividends or anything whatsoever. And from reading some emails through our health department with the vendors, that it seems that we're not even charging a fee for the vendors for their inspections and applications for their temporary permits that they get at a minimum of $25 a piece. And I think you sent me through the clerk that there are 18 vendors as of February 25th of this year. And I believe the Girl Scout troop really, I'm not sure if you want to consider them a venue or a vendor or not, which would make it 17. So we have this $1,000 that we're charging them for a year. We have a potential of X amount of money that we're not going to get for these permits that we're having there. We have to do these multiple inspections through our health department in order to make sure that they're compliant on a whole host of levels of local, county, state, and federal requirements. And then the other thing is we have a hold harmless and we have an insurance that goes on with this contract. But the farmers market, the Kariba Farms, has their own agreement that they have for each of their vendors along with the mall. It's a market at the mall terms and regulations. So it seems like Kariba Farms charges each one of those vendors a fee for each event that they participate in. And then it wants that vendor to hold Kariba Farms harmless. Now, does this agreement somewhat contradict the agreement that we have, or I'm just a little lost why we're having this agreement with Kariba Farms? I just don't understand it. We have no stake in the game.
May I speak, Council President?
You're recognized, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. From where I sit, Councilman Kelly, I think, and correct me if I'm interpreting what you're saying incorrectly. I think we have as a community a huge stake in the game, a huge piece of this in terms of my belief is as mayor, as an administrator, is to increase positive things for the community. So the farmers market, we've never had anything like that before up here. Other towns have had this. This is if you want to call it a pilot program, it's starting to take hold. So this is something that's positive for the community, although it's a private business. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. After speaking with the organizer, Kariba Farms, we talked with him in terms of what he does in other municipalities briefly, and we're trying to follow a model that's going to keep this farmers market successful and in Rockaway. We talk about, I understand what you're saying. If you look at the glass half empty or half full, I look at it as half full right now. And just because we're not charging him every week and recovering $5,000 or what it nets out to be, if he pulls out, then we won't even be collecting $1,000. The community will not be able to go down there on these Saturdays, whatever Saturdays he chooses to run it, whatever agreement he has with the mall, and enjoy themselves, have a nice day out, blend in with their neighbors. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. As far as the hold harmless agreements, I'm going to leave that up to our attorneys. I'll let them explain that. They work on that, the legal aspect of that, in terms of limiting the exposure to the town. So that's kind of the philosophy that I'm looking at it from a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I appreciate your response to that. First of all, I didn't indicate it, nor was I subliminally giving you a message that it was not a positive event, and I wasn't getting into some type of a sociology end of it where it's half empty or half full. I was strictly looking at it. You know, we were so tenacious at going after a special events permit, which you were pushing all along and talking about it on several occasions. And now we're somewhat bypassing that. And when you say that, you know, you want to present something good for the community, I mean, this organizer is making money not only on what he's selling of his fruits and dried nuts and everything else that's there, but he's also making money on the vendors themselves, where we're not even charging for the inspection process for those vendors.
Can I say something, Council
So
President Jackson?
if I can finish, Mrs. Seeger, before you interrupt. So that was where my one concern was, is that not that we have to land-base somebody with fees, but if other businesses heard what you were saying, I think all the businesses in Rockaway Township we should cater to and move forward. But it seems that we're catering more so to this one in reference to fees or no fees. We have a lot of extra work that are going on with our health department based on the emails from some of the information that the clerk had given me. There's a lot of effort that goes in here with this and in food and everything else. Some of these people, a lot of them aren't even from Rockaway. Some of them are out of state in New York. But the other thing is, the mall itself is a rental organization. They rent space. Now, is there a contract of a rental agreement between the mall and Creva Farms? Because I don't know if the assessor's office would see that as renting additional space, assessments, configuration because of what's going on right now. It just seems that there's some things that are just overlooked or inadvertently overlooked from this whole entire operation that's taking place. I'm glad that it's happening, don't get me wrong. But I think there's some other areas there that we should look at and see what we're actually doing. And it seems like you're pushing this business forward, but other businesses, you're not doing the same or giving them the same courtesy or breaks financially.
All right, Mrs. Seeger, you're recognized.
Yes, just so you know, the health department is going to be collecting from every one of those vendors. And they just came up with what they were doing. We were getting this off the ground, and we had a few people ask us, and we called around, Dave Dyer called around to a couple other towns to see what they do. And we're right in line with the farmer's market on bringing local products to the town. And they will be paying $50 each for the calendar year for the inspections if they need it. And not all of those copies that you got from administration, from the mayor, Mr. Kelly, is actually subject to a permit. Some of them are not. They just all applied so that the health department could go over them to see if they needed a permit. Not all of them needed a permit, but they all will be paying for it.
No, I understand that, Mrs. Seeger, but I'm only going by the information that was given to me, and there are some that don't fall into the serving of food and drink, so obviously they wouldn't, but there are ones that are, and it says here from one of our health officials, to my knowledge at this time, a fee is not being collected, and that was late January.
That was because we need to know where it fell in, and they will be charged $50. I'm telling you that.
So
okay, that's enough discussion. That's enough discussion on this item.
Well,
Would anybody like to make a motion to vote on R21-58?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Noon and Mr. Quinn and Ms. Noon. Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Kelly.
I'm pausing for a second, Mrs. Clipperton. Thank you.
Yes, to think.
I'm going to abstain on this.
Councilmember Quinn.
I vote yes because this is good for the town. Thank you.
Councilmember Freelander.
Yes, and I'll explain something when I do my report.
Councilmember Kritz.
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks.
Yes.
Councilmember Noon.
Yes.
Vice President Sackett.
Yes.
President Jackson.
Yes, that's 8 yeses and 1 abstention. R21-58 carries. Next, as been previous practice, I'm going to be combining old business, new business, and council reports. Every council member will get 15 minutes. I'm going to start with Mr. Salberg.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you. I just wanted to pick up actually from where I left off on last time we met on the report that I was discussing about the emerald ash boring beetles. And I reached out to the commission, and they were kind enough, the commissioner was kind enough to respond back. And I'm actually very, very happy about what he told me about what's going on. And I'll just read a little bit about of what he sent me. County currently has been working on ash tree removal since 2019. They have a 10-year plan to remove all ash trees from the county roads rights of way. Currently, they're in phase 2 of ash tree removals. They're putting phase 3 out to bid in the next few months. JCP&L as well has been very aggressive on it, removing trees. Morris County Shade Tree Division has been removing trees of 6 inches or less. So looks like everybody's been very proactive. Looks like we should be able to protect ourselves from some of the plight that some of our western neighbors out in Detroit and so on saw when they got hit with it. But yeah, I was very happy to see the how proactive and that they are taking care of this, very, very quickly. They'll be taking care of the ash trees along Green Pond and Mount Hope as they do their resurfacing projects. So again, enlightened to see that. Just wanted to close that out. Next, we were talking a little before. It's going to be trout season, April 10th. Catch and release, April 1st through 10th. So any anglers, please take advantage of our waters. They're beautiful, high and clear this year. And as always, please stay safe, wear a mask, and practice social distance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. Just wanted to once again just thank the road department for the great season we had of getting all the snow. Hopefully there will be none more for the rest of the year. But you can never be too sure. The only thing that I wanted to mention was just wanted everyone, while they're going out and about, walking around Parks Lake or any of the neighborhood, to just pick up some of the trash that they see lying around. It's always good to do our own due diligence. I think it's good for the neighbors, good for the kids to teach them to pick up after themselves and some people that maybe litter, not on purpose. But other than that, just looking forward to the spring season. Baseball's getting ready to start, and this is the last time you will see me with my beard because hockey season is officially over, and I can shave after this weekend. Thank you, guys.
Just comb it up.
Sure, your wife's thrilled. All right.
Let's reverse the position.
Mr. Kelly.
A couple of things. Just to follow up with Mr. Salberg, it was the same thing that I was trying to ask at the last meeting to interject when he was speaking about the ash trees. The county was on the county road today through the breezeway, just after Metro Supply, before Dudak Road, clearing down some areas and the trees moving forward. NGG has been floating around with the accompanying of JCP&L associated with those ash trees and other tree trimming that's there. Another recommendation, we do have a shade tree commission within the township. We have an individual that the mayor had appointed this year, and perhaps we can get a report from that individual in regards to any shade trees that may be on township property that isn't in any right of way or the obligation of JCP&L or the county. The other thing is, we have an individual, Mr. Hanson, that lives on Dudak Road, right on the corner where the intersection of Valley Road forks off. I know that he spoke to Mr. Dyer. He's got a constant issue going on for the last several years, most of it from truck traffic coming out of Sterogenics. It's truck and tractors, trailers, and they're actually, when they come around the bend going from Sterogenics back to Green Pond Road, they are tearing up his yard. Now, since he's on a corner lot, he's got 2 front yards. There was a guardrail there at one time. They've completely destroyed that and ripped that out. They keep encroaching further back onto Mr. Hanson's property. So now they're actually clipping the trees and doing more damage on his property. So I don't know what we can or can't do. I know some of that is Route 664, I think, the county road. And I'm not sure if our agreement, because we flip-flop between the county and Rockaway, if we maintain that area now, or if the county does, or certain things they maintain, but maybe reinstalling a guardrail that was there once before to protect and preserve Mr. Hanson's property. And it's been in his family for multiple decades. And this is the worst it's ever been. So just something to look at, but I believe Mr. Dyer was trying to assist him with that. The other thing is the dog park with Old Business. Just seeing if we've had any status on that. Again, I hope we can move forward and maybe come up with some kind of an agreement. The state will allow us to do something like that over there before we generate any plans and assemble a team there. But I still think it's a perfect area at the old RT Castle and Snake Hill Road area. Also, with Old Business, Mayor Puzio, if you recall, I did ask for the P1, P2 plans. I haven't received them yet in regards to some of the things that we're doing there. And Mrs. Siegert had given me plans that we had already voted on as far as the $957,000 for the tennis courts and basketball courts. And I was wondering, and since there's been a lot of discussion, I know Mr. Kritz has been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Do we have like a threshold of spending that we're going to do with the Peterson Field? It doesn't seem that there's ever a limit, and we keep adding more to the budget and capital and doing some other expenditures and changing things as some construction's taking place. So I would love to have that conversation one time at a meeting so we can all chime in and share our thoughts with that. The other thing is a lot of discussion about the stimulus money that we received. Can anybody give me an answer or direction as to where we can spend this money or where we can't spend the money? Maybe Mrs. Seeger can answer that.
Council President.
You're recognized, Mr. Mayor. Or Mrs. Seeger, whoever wants to be recognized.
During my report, I can answer that.
Okay.
Mrs. Seeger, I don't have an opportunity to refute or rebut anything that you may say. But I just want to know where can't we spend the money? I mean, if you have an idea of what it is right now, could you tell me now?
May I speak, Council President?
You're recognized, Mr. Mayor.
Everything hasn't been fleshed out. There's certain areas that they're still working on, so we're not 100% sure. To speak right now would be exactly where we're going to spend that money or where it can be spent would be reckless because the federal government, the state, are putting in guidelines as to what that money can be used for. So we don't.
Okay, so it'd be premature to talk about it now and give me an idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we don't even know yet where it can be spent. We have to look closer at that. And
well, you know, there's just a lot of speculation, Mr. Mayor. A lot of people putting out a lot of conspiracy theories of where the money's being spent or directed to. And I know some of the council members had maybe stated some things too to others, and I was just trying to get it on the record as to what we can and can't. But right now, if you don't know, I understand.
I don't, and if you have those folks that, other than gossip, which we can't control, if there's particular folks in the residents that are coming to you, please feel free to send them our way. I'll let them have a conversation with myself or Ms. Seeger, and we can kind of put to rest some of what they may be thinking is happening when it's not really taking place.
And then, Mr. Mayor, when we had just recently at the last meeting, we had your appointments, and then there were some with the council concerning the Board of Adjustment and Planning Board. On the Board of Adjustments, prior to the appointment of the most recent person as a full member, there were other alternates that have been waiting to be bumped to that full member status. Was there a reason why those individuals were bypassed?
May I speak to that, Mr. President?
Yeah, you're recognized, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, once again, it's a managerial prerogative. There's nothing in the code that states that a person who's been there for a certain period of time must be moved up. It's flexible. It's an administrative decision, and there's no hard and fast rule. It's no different than a job application. Somebody may be at a company for a certain period of time, and someone comes in from the outside with a special set of skills or a certain knowledge or a certain educational background, and they might be put into a higher level position or have the skills to move right into management as opposed to somebody who has been there. So it's really a managerial
some of those members on that Board of Adjustment have been there for a very long period of time, and the individual that you appointed was just an alternate on the planning board for only a couple of meetings. And the background isn't really in land use or I was just wondering why, because you can imagine the disappointment of somebody that's been on that board, waiting to get appointed to a full term position, being bypassed.
Councilman Kelly, or Council President, may I speak?
Sure.
It's not, the zoning board of adjustment is not appointed by myself. That's appointed by the council. So 9 of you voted yes or no on that.
We had that as a hybrid. She's a planning board member and a board of adjustment member. And I think that was the combination of what you're saying, bring it to the table, because the person that resigned was both, but that was only because we didn't have the seats filled. So we pulled somebody from the planning board to fill those seats that have a full voting board at the time. And again, I don't think this council knew that there was other alternates that were waiting to be appointed as a full member. So I just, in the future, maybe we can look at those individuals that have been waiting patiently for that potential appointment as a full voting member. And I think, the two things on the end of it is Mr. Kritz has been talking about the sponsor committee, soliciting businesses and whatnot for monies for recreation. Is there any chance that maybe that might be an issue, having a committee formed and soliciting businesses that pay taxes more money to contribute towards one program rather than multiple programs that we may have for those that aren't even part of recreation?
Council President, can I respond to that?
No.
Mr. Kritz, I would love for you to respond. I mean,
It's a report. This isn't a debate or a question and answer.
No, it's not a debate. I'm asking Mr. Kritz. I mean, he's responded to my stuff before you've allowed it.
No.
And then so I'm sorry that you can't respond, Mr. Kritz, and then you'll be able to say something during your report and I can't respond. That's not the way we talk business and try to get an idea of what your plan is regarding that program or sponsorship you're trying to do. I mean, I could be very for it if I had some more information about it. Then the last thing is that the attorney invoices, I asked for records. We are the council, we are the purse strings when it comes to spending and purchases and whatnot. Is there a reason why the attorney won't give me the invoices willingly and I have to use Oprah to compel the township to provide me with those invoices? I mean, we know that they're public record. It just seems that when I've asked for them before, or I asked for P1 or P2 plans, I responded back to Mrs. Siegert, never got a response again from her. It's very hard to do my job for my constituents and not reviewing certain financial data for our voting and moving forward. And again, plans, as you just did, Mr. Jackson, I didn't think it'd be a problem for Mr. Kritz to maybe say something to help understand something or maybe an idea that he has for us to discuss. And it seems like you're very controlling with that. And when Mrs. Degman made her comment about the meeting, when you allow us to speak and have just general conversations, things go smoothly. There's no back and forth for 10 minutes to be able to speak. And then here you are again, the simple question that Mr. Kritz could have answered, you're just allowing it. And that's not what it's about. It's sad that you do that. But is there a way that I can just get these invoices without having to make an Oprah request, or do I have to continue to do that? I mean, you are copied on all my correspondence, Mr. Jackson.
Council President, may I say something? May I be recognized?
Who's talking?
Mr.
Brown, sure.
Yeah. Mr. Kelly, pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-37.1, you can make a request to the mayor for any document. If you want to undertake an investigation or whatever it is you want to do. It was, in fact, when you requested information regarding the permits for the farmers market, they were provided to you by the mayor through Ms. Seeger, even though you did not follow the statute with respect to your request and asked the clerk for them. And so you can do that at any time. You don't have to file an open request to get that information.
Mr. Perone, how is it any different? I mean, you have to go through personnel, your review, the mayor or whatever have you. An open request is just a clerk submitting the same request to you guys and to your department. But what I don't understand is, Mr. Perone,
Kelly, you
please,
have a legal
Mr.
option.
Perone,
You have a
I'm
legal
not
option to
completed yet.
secure the information.
Mr. Perone,
You have the
I
legal
still have the
option to
floor,
secure
Mr.
the
Perone.
information.
Mr. Perone, I will remind you though, under the 4069A 37-1, I've already gone through that process and I'm still
No, you
awaiting that
haven't.
report.
I haven't ever seen I haven't seen you make one request through that process.
I
Mr.
have,
Kelly.
and unfortunately,
Well, why don't you tell
Mrs.
us when it
Ferrante
was?
received it, the mayor received it, and
Provide
I
the
received
information,
no
Mr. Kelly.
information
I
regarding
haven't
that. It's
seen
been
it.
2 years now.
I haven't seen it, Mr. Kelly. I haven't seen one request in that context.
Yeah, I did. So, I mean, I went down that road and it didn't work. And there's no time of obligation to provide me with that material under that section 4069A 37-1. But Oprah makes you give it to me in 7 days.
Request? Why don't you send me the request that you made? I haven't seen one.
Well, Mr. Perone, why don't you just give me your invoices? We don't have to do any of this stuff.
Because there's a protocol to be followed. That's why.
Okay, so it's mandatory for me to follow either through Oprah or 4069A 37-1.
In your current situation, you do not need to follow Oprah.
I don't have to use Oprah?
Not to secure those invoices.
Okay, Mr. Perone, how long
all
would
you
it
have
take
to
you to
do is
provide
ask
me?
you don't ask me, you ask the mayor and the
I
administration.
don't have to ask the mayor now. I'm asking you.
Yep. Never mind,
Mr.
Mr.
Perone,
Kelly. You're obviously not going to follow the statute.
How long?
Council President.
I'm going to get off of this conversation.
I have one question, Mr. Perone. How long does it take then to provide it under 4069A 37-1? What's the time frame of the production of the material requested?
Under the statute, it's a reasonable time.
What's the time?
Council President, I'm going to interrupt for a second. This is turned into a Councilman Kelly issue, not town business. I'm just going to remind you of that.
I'm just asking for invoices.
It's nothing for the good of the
Town
township.
business.
So,
Asking
Mr.
for
Kelly, you
invoices
got,
to see the billing of what our attorneys bill?
Mr.
way,
Kelly, you
Mr.
got
Kelly
1
gets-
minute left.
One more. Mr. Kelly gets invoices every month. You should know that. It's not like anybody's withholding invoices.
Well, nobody's saying that, but I don't think I have to go through an Oprah. You can give it to me in a day. It takes you 40 minutes to review your actual invoices for any redactions, which you
never
charge
asked.
the town. What's that?
Ask you
What's that,
open
Mr.
everything.
Perone? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Mr. Perone.
I'm not saying anything, and I'm not going to say anything further.
Okay. With that being said, I wish everybody a happy Easter and Passover. I hope everybody enjoys the spring that's here. And I know Mr. Salberg was not aware, but Hibernia Fire Company 1 is postponing their fishing contest this year.
Actually, I am aware. I spoke to the auxiliary via text during the meeting. Decided.
Mr. Salberg just asked to be recognized, please. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Salberg, I'm only interjecting from what you said earlier. That's all.
Okay, next is, and I just want to point out the council reports and it's not supposed to be a question and answer session and a cross-examination. Mr. Kelly, you're not recognized. A cross-examination, like everything is Mr. Kelly, and it's just sad that this is what it turns into. Like he even said to Mrs. Seeger, I want to be able to refute what you're saying. Like, it's just very sad. So Mr. Kritz, you're up next.
Okay, thanks for the segue into the sponsorship committee. We had our first meeting last week, a very successful meeting as we continued to lay out the framework for that committee and its purpose and its goals. So more to come as that develops.
Who's we?
Mr. Egan also spoke about softball.
Child.
Happy to say that my fourth grader will be playing softball for the first time, so looking forward to that. Lacrosse still going strong. I want to thank the lacrosse program for being very vigilant with the COVID protocols. Very easy to kind of think things are loosening up. They are very diligent, canceling practices where they need to be, and following up on their protocols every day. So thank you to them. Happy Passover starts on the 28th. To those who celebrate, and happy Easter. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Friedlander.
I had to pinch myself. Okay, I'm gonna just bring up something from old business because I didn't get a chance to say something when we were voting on a resolution. First off, I will thank administration on handling the farmers market the way they did. I've been to every Saturday. Everybody sees me. I talk to the vendors, and I believe I reached out to administration because, you vote on things during the year, and one of them was the event charges that we did raise, and I believe that was the correct thing to do, raising the fee for an event. But talking to the promoter at the farmers market made a lot of sense to me. To me, this is not an event. This is, well, an outdoor business. All parties are paying into it. It's a win-win situation for the town, for the people, for the mall. Of course, they make money. And that's what the whole idea is. But you got to start somewhere. When I talked to him, and that's why I told him to reach out to administration, because he did have concerns with all the fees that he was paying. Other towns were doing the yearly thing. I mean, it made sense because I didn't consider that an event. Thank the administration for sitting down and talking to him. Thank you, Mr. Dyer, for working it out, because this is a win-win, and you'll see that comes the warm weather now in April, there's going to be a lot of people going to the farmers market. It's a win-win, and that's all I wanted to say as far as that goes. Committees, library, moving forward with the construction of the new room. People are starting to use the added computers. They're still doing online, programs, working fine. Historical Society, people wondering about them. They're following the guidelines of course, COVID, because I guess the senior building is not open and it's not really conducive to a lot of people. They really haven't set up anything yet. But I will say that the Ford Face project with the money for construction, that project is going to start in 2 months. And they are planning the 250th anniversary of the Ford Face House. I can't believe it's 250 years. That's it as far as that. I also want to thank administration for reaching out to the head of traffic, Lieutenant Tom. As the warm weather changes, people and the kids are starting to walk around White Meadow Lake. Got to slow down. Right now, they're reviewing all the areas and sign locations for the children present and slow down. And that's really it. That's
okay.
One fast thing.
Yep.
Happy Passover. Enjoy your Easter, because this is the weather's changing, and family's important.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Okay. Miss Noon?
Yes, well, not much to say. I just wanted to ditto what Councilman Freelander said about the farmers market. It's a great event. And happy Passover and happy Easter, and everyone stay safe. Thank you.
Mr. Quinn looks like he's down again. So I'm going to go to Mr. Sackett.
Thank you,
Vice
Council
President
President.
Sackett.
Got it. Thank you, Council President. Just also, like Councilman Kritz had mentioned, a lot of programs starting up, soccer and baseball, softball, and lacrosse. I know the Renegades have games this weekend. So wishing all the sports seasons that are kicking off this weekend much success and fun. Also, wishing all celebrating Passover and Easter. Passover starting actually Saturday night is Seder 1, and Easter following weekend. Be safe. I know a lot of last year no one could really get together with their families, and a lot of people, myself included, had to have their Zoom Seders or their Zoom Easter dinners. And hopefully this year maybe you'll be able to celebrate with your family, but do it safe. And also just wanted to thank Peter Tabbitt for an excellent job. I know myself, having 4 kids in the school district, 3 in Rockaway and 1 in a Morris County School of Technology, dealing with the kids. I've had a few times this year my kids being involved with the contact tracing and having to speak with his health department, and they're very professional. And many hours late at night, 9:30 at night, they were calling me after hours, and they do a great job, and they worry about the safety of our kids and our town. So I just want to thank him and his whole team. Thank you.
Mr. Quinn? You're on mute. Okay. I still can't hear him. I can't hear you. Nope. Still can't hear you. Hey, Pat, can you work with him and I'll do my report?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. So a few things. Number one, participated in a blood drive at White Meadow Lake last week. I think Eileen Horwitz, I believe, ran. I believe I heard they collected something like 70 pints or something, which is fantastic. Went over and looked at some of the work being done at Peterson Field over the weekend. It's exciting. It's exciting to see the improvements that have been so long coming. And to see that, the residents are finally going to realize this project and what it means to our community and to most of the people that live in Rockaway. And I heard there were rumors. I heard there might have been an Easter bunny poking around at Peterson earlier this week, but I guess we'll find out. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that we got notice today. Hold on. The annual spring cleanup is going to be Saturday, April 24th from 9 to 11. So there'll be more information to follow, but it's always something good to participate in. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from the health department, when plans are finalized. Jack, are you on now? Still can't hear him.
You're gonna hear him in a minute. Go ahead, Jack.
Now,
Okay, talking wherever you were just talking, talk again.
Go ahead, Jack.
I'm going to talk. I'd like to echo what my fellow councilman said about Peter Talbot and his team. We owe them a debt of gratitude, the entire town. And thank them very much. The farmers market is a fantastic draw for people to come into this town and go to the mall to help support the mall also. So yes, it was a perfect thing that administration did to help them get this market going the right way. Also, all of the sport programs, as Jonathan, Joe had said, are starting up in all our spring sports, and they are adhering to the COVID protocols, which is everybody be safe dealing with that. And also happy Easter and happy Passover to everybody. Please be happy, healthy, and safe. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, you good?
Thank you, Council
Yep,
President.
that's it.
I just
Mayor.
I'm gonna have the town attorney, when he gives his report, address the special events ordinance, just to add a little bit of clarification and how it affects the contract that we did with Kariba Farms tonight. But before he gives his report, I have a few things to talk about. Any council person can come to the administration and request documents. You don't have to go through Oprah. You can email me, put it in writing, and we'll try to get you what we can. Now, with respect to the field P1 and 2, we keep circling back to Peterson. I've stated numerous times to this council and at numerous meetings, the process, the engineering specs are not going to be handed out because the project has not gone out to bid. Once the project goes out to bid, we get the bid packages back and the lowest bid or the acceptable bid is accepted, then we will give the plans out as we did to Mr. Kritz. Now, follow me for a moment. It's up to the council, the 9 of you, to ask for those plans, to take a look at them. You can look at what bid was submitted, what bid was accepted. You can table it. You can move forward with it. You don't have to vote on it the very next meeting. You can vote on it immediately. You can hold off for a few meetings. It's up to you to digest the information, but it would upset the bid process if I were to give those out prior to the bidding. As our town attorney said, there's processes that we follow, and I've explained that in the past. Now I'm going to digress off of Peterson. We all know what's going on down there. Where community is excited. I'm certainly excited, and I know the majority of the council is excited. But there's other things that are going on besides Peterson in terms of construction and other projects, and I want to bring light to some of those. The gazebo. Now, obviously, all of these construction projects are outdoors, so they're weather dependent. So we couldn't do much over the winter, but there's certain things that are going on in town. Were things that the general public may not be paying attention to. We're gonna, and I've spoken about it. We're working with the DEP. We've gotten clearance for the improvements that we want to make down at the gazebo, Hudsonia Dam. I'm not going to go into it. I'll let our engineer go into that. We are also looking to move forward, but we're working with the DEP once again to build a building over by the Salt Dome in White Meadow Lake. It's not going to have a wash bay. I know that's been a concern. There's not going to be truck traffic through there having a wash bay, but we're looking at that site. It has to get DEP approval before we can build. So we are doing other projects, paving projects, as I spoke of on some of our roads. On Kings Road right now, we're putting in a new sewer line. We're putting in a gas line to complete that before we pave. So there's a lot of other things that are going on. That's all I have tonight. I want to wish everybody a happy Passover and a happy Easter. And thank you for everything that you do. And I want to encourage you to talk to each other. If you have a question, it doesn't have to happen just at this meeting. Mr. Kelly can call Mr. Kritz or any other member. Mr. Kelly can call Mr. Kritz, have a discussion with him. He doesn't have to vote on things. No one's breaking any rules by having a discussion with your fellow council person. That's just good business, and it helps things become a little bit efficient and smooth. So I want to encourage that. No one's telling you that if you get answers that you can't bring them back to a council meeting and discuss those answers that were given or the conversation that happened. It's just good business. So I want everybody to have a great Easter and a happy Passover. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yachfano.
I have no report, but I think Carl needs to address what the mayor asked concerning that agreement.
Sure, Mr. Perone, you're recognized.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify for the council, who may have been confused by what Mr. Kelly said regarding his mention of the special events ordinance with respect to the farmers market. Just so you know, we built into that ordinance an exception for contracts that would address a repeat exercise such as the farmers market. So I just want you to understand that the special events ordinance does not govern the transaction that took place with respect to the agreement that you voted on this evening, because I didn't want you to think that you had done something that was contrary to the ordinance. Simply that.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Seeger?
Okay, I think the mayor answered Mr. Kelly's question about the stimulus money. We're waiting for directions from the federal and through New Jersey DLGF, Division of Local Government Services. Other than the projects the mayor addressed, we are working on well 10 to a new well for our water system. We are working on Kings Road, not only the paving that maybe Ms. Ferrante will address, but we're all looking, there's been a lot of water breaks on that road, and we're looking to replace the piping all along Kings Road and upgrade our infrastructure. Peter had a grant that he hired a person to do some work for the health department. We have the senior citizens building. We just awarded that contract and everything's going out. They should be starting on the senior citizen improvements inside the building. We're looking at camera systems for Peterson Field. We were doing the budget and with finance, and the police department is doing radio repeaters, upgrading, finishing that project. And the DPW is working on all the fields, prepping them with Mr. Swanton, and Allison is doing a lot of projects with that. And Dave Dyer is working on camera vendors, and Peterson on site, and everybody's been working on this Peterson project. So I thank you all. We are doing a lot of work. Other than that, as the mayor said, and I want to wish everybody happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Palmieri, did you have anything?
I have no report tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Ferrante?
Yes, to piggyback off of Mayor Puzio and Pat's report, there are activities going on at King's, and there will be for a long time. Letters were sent out to the residents in addition to the municipal water main improvement and the roadway improvement. Actually, New Jersey Natural Gas is getting in there as well. There are a couple houses on King's that don't currently have gas. So they are going to be under construction. So if you could avoid that area, it would be greatly appreciated. And Lake Hudsonia Dam Removal Project is underway. The contractor was out on site today removing trees. And then we'll be back on site in May, June to de-water that impoundment. Other than that, we're just rocking and rolling with construction. Thank you, DPW and Parks and Rec, for the support with the Peterson work. And that's it for my report tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Dyer?
No report tonight, Council President.
Okay. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, why not? Yes.
All right, I'll go with Mr. Sackett and Mr. Friedlander. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting's adjourned at 8:16 p.m. Our next meeting's April 13th. Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Take care, people. Stay safe.